Hello, Rama Rama Puppodu. Hope all are healthy, feeling relaxed, having a peaceful life, and happy always. Now, let's go to the chapter 27 Mathura, Gokul and Brindaban. Now, Mathura is the birthplace of that great incarnation, Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is the veritable personification of love itself. His unperishable name lives still green and in all its prestige glory in the minds of all people everywhere in India. The Bhagavad Gita stands unrivaled in the depth of the philosophy it propounds, pointing out the one goal which all human endeavor should aim at as the ultimate accomplishment of all life and existence. Mathura still remembers vividly the child Krishna and his charmed life, which fact is proved by the variety of mandirs in the place in which he is worshipped daily in the form of gaudily dressed idols. On the day of Ramdas' arrival at Mathura, Ram Kinkar having been laid up with fever, Ramdas, before he came in touch with the new Sadhuram, went out into the city in quest of the holy river Jamna. Ram, who was ever ready to get help for Ramdas, now brought him in touch with a Brahmin going towards the river. He came of his own accord towards Ramdas and proposed to lead him to the river. Having reached the holy river Jamna, Ramdas first washed his clothes and then descended into the river for a bath. But before doing so, he placed a small lota or water pot on one of the stone steps, into which he put also his spectacles. Finishing bath, Ramdas was returning to the spot where he had placed the lota. He was only a moment too late when a monkey, coming up, carried off the spectacles. Now, without spectacles, Ramdas could not see clearly objects at a distance. The Brahmin guide, seeing this, got annoyed, but Ramdas, unperturbed, said, "It is all Ram's wish," and thought within himself that perhaps Ram means to restore Ramdas' failing sight. But the Brahmin would not rest contented. He requested two boys standing nearby to run after the monkey for the pair of spectacles. The monkey, meanwhile, was jumping from one turret of the temple to the other, closely followed by a number of other monkeys, who thought the first monkey must have got some eatable in its grasp. However, in about a quarter of an hour, the boys returned, bringing with them the pair of glass spectacles in a sound condition. It was, after all, a test of Ram on his humble slave. After visiting some temples of Sri Krishna by the kindness of this Brahmin guide, in the company of the new Sadhuram, Ramdas started the next day for Govardhan, situated at a distance of 14 miles from Mathura. They reached the place at midday. Here was the famous hill of Govardhan, which is said to have been lifted by Sri Krishna and supported on the tip of his little finger to protect the cows and cowherds, his playmates, from the heavy torrent of rain poured down by the angry god Indra. But this hill is fast diminishing and coming almost to the level of surrounding ground. The stones cut out from the hill have been in great numbers used up in the erection of houses at the place. However, to represent the hill, a piece of rock out of it is preserved, enclosed by an iron fence and a top roof. Upon this rock, pilgrims pour ghee, milk, curds, etc., and offer puja. Even from this rock, bits are knocked out by the pilgrims and preserved as mementos. After securing food at a dharmashala, Ramdas and the Sadhuram rested for a while in the afternoon. In the evening, both the Sadhuram and Ramdas were out on the road going about the town when they heard from a distance the sound of bhajan. Tirthar Ram led Ramdas and the Sadhuram shortly after. They found themselves in a small Ram Mandir, and in front of the images about half a dozen saints were sitting and singing to the accompaniment of cymbals, tambourine, and mridang, the glorious name of Ram. The words were Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. This bhajan was sung repeatedly in a variety of tunes, producing in the atmosphere an electric influence full of peace. In this place, Ramdas remained for nearly 4 hours, fully absorbed in the charming sound of Ram's name. Next day, Ramdas and his guide started back to Mathura, and after a short stay there, Ramdas, who missed the Sadhuram, proceeded alone to Gokul, lying at a distance of about 5 miles. Ah, Gokul is the place where Sri Krishna grew up as a child, played his games, and exhibited his extraordinary powers. Here again the blessed Jamna flows. It was here in this river, perhaps, Sri Krishna rode and danced on the hood of the venomous serpent Kalia, whom he eventually killed. After a day's stay here, Ramdas returned to Mathura, whence he proceeded to Brindaban, about 12 miles off. Brindaban is a very delightful place. Here the same Jamna flows in all her tameness and purity. There are beautiful natural gardens of neem and other trees on the banks of the river. To sit under their cool shade when the fresh breeze is blowing over the place from the bosom of Mother Jamna is to enjoy heaven itself. Ramdas was simply charmed with the place, and he stayed on the bank of the river for a fortnight, made the dried up sands his bed and seat for the night, and the shade of the trees a little above his resting place for the day. Moonlight nights here were all bewitching. The very air there seemed to be charged with the presence of that love incarnate Sri Krishna, and when soft breezes were blowing, they seemed to be carrying into the ears of Ramdas the maddening music of Sri Krishna's flute and the silvery sound of the tinkling tiny bells of his blessed dancing feet. Now and again, a deep, soft, and resonant voice would travel in the air. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam. Ramdas lived there in a state of complete ecstasy and raptures. Days passed on unconsciously. The whole stay there seemed to be one long drawn, sweet, and pleasant dream. At Brindaban, Ramdas visited many Krishna mandirs, of which the Ranganath Mandir is a huge and picturesque structure. It resembles a fortress enclosed by a high massive walls. The gateway and the interior buildings and roofs are all made up of stone work artistically carved. The command came at last from Ram to move on. Returning again to Mathura, Ramdas got into a train directed and guided by the friends of the place. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Puppodu.